This is a very short introduction and guide to Skyfang Brigade, so I'll try to keep it as short and as concise as possible. Now, Skyfang Brigade is a new pirate-based archetype set to come out in the deck build pack Dark Savers for the OCG. It is a deck designed on swarming the field with a bunch of monsters, triggering multiple effects like popping back row, popping monsters, adding other Skyfang monsters, and boosting attack. The boss monsters can also be spammed onto the field very easily, and you can set up boards with multiple negations to stop your opponent from playing. The deck is good at swarming the field, putting a lot of pressure, picking away at your opponent's card advantage, and setting up negations to prevent any follow-ups. By special summoning a bunch, you also trigger multiple effects. However, one of the deck's weaknesses is that it's extremely effect-based, and it's entirely reliant on its normal summon to do anything. Purely as an engine, the deck has no way of playing through any disruption whatsoever. Also, the deck is made up of different attributes and types: reptiles, beasts, warriors, fire, wind, and so on. So the deck is very, very weak to rivalry, or goes in match, unless you've drawn both Donpa and Recon, but those cards might not be played, but it's something to consider. I'll first divide the archetype into three categories: the little monsters, the big monsters, and then the spell and trap cards. Now, all the little monsters have the exact same first effect, and both the effects are hard ones per turns. Now, during your main phase, you can special summon any Skyfang from your hand. If another Skyfang is special summoned to the field, you trigger the Skyfang's first effect. So for example, I activate the effect of Donpa to special summon Recon from my hand. When Recon is specialed, Donpa triggers, allowing me to pop a face-up card my opponents control. Then I can use Recon to special a Skyfang from my hand, like Beat. When Beat is special summoned, it triggers Recon, allowing me to pop a set card. And then you keep repeating this until you run out of monster zones or Skyfangs in hand. So as you can see, the deck is extremely good at swarming the field and dismantling your opponent's board. Blavo is a level 4 reptile, and when a Skyfang is special summoned, he boosts all Skyfangs by 500 attack and defense. Beat is an Earth level 3 warrior, and he searches any Skyfang. Recon is a level 2 wind beast, and he pops back row. Donpa is a level 2 wind beast, and he pops face-ups. Now for the boss monsters, they all have effects which trigger when they are special summoned. For example, Lafarl, a level 8 light dragon, is special summoned. I can use his effect to excavate cards up to the number of Skyfangs, and then add a Skyfang from my hand if I excavated any. When my opponent activates a monster effect, I can discard a Skyfang to negate and destroy it. What you might also notice by now is that you need to play a lot of Skyfang monsters in multiples, even ones that maybe aren't so great like Blavo, or even lots of other boss monsters, just to make sure that you can swarm the field enough and have enough fuel in your hand to trigger the boss monsters. Wiz is a level 7 water spellcaster, and when she's special summoned, you can gain 500 life for each Skyfang. When my opponent activates a spell or trap, I can discard a Skyfang to negate and destroy it. When Sagitta is summoned, a level 5 winged beast wind monster, I can do 500 for each Skyfang I can control. She has a continuous effect, unlike the other boss monsters, and it prevents all Skyfangs from being targeted by card effects. As of right now, they have one field spell and one trap card. The field spell is quite terrible, honestly, and it's super win more. Basically, you can skip your draw phase to add a Skyfang monster, not Skyfang card. That's a very important keynote. If you control 5 Skyfangs with different names, you can send it to the grave and destroy all cards your opponent controls. So it's like Ojama Delta Hurricane. The trap card, Skyfang Training, lets you special a Skyfang from your deck with a level less than the one destroyed. It's an okay card, but it's not searchable, as all the Skyfang search cards let you add monsters and not Skyfang cards. For the extra, I would recommend a bunch of rank 2s, maybe a rank 8 or 2, a few link monsters, and that's basically it. Skyfang Brigade isn't reliant on its extra deck at all. You want to be playing with your main deck mostly. So that's basically the deck. Normal summon a Skyfang, use the effect to special another one from your hand, trigger the first one's effect, and then use the new Skyfang you just special summoned to special another one from your hand, and then repeat. If the first summon is warninged, striked, bottomless, or veilered, then you do not have a single way to continue your turn using your engine. So maybe you want to play things like Brilliant Fusion or Double Summon to get another normal summon. If your opponent stops the first one, you can set Call the Haunted or Back to the Front to bring back a boss monster to trigger on your opponent's turn. But when that deck truly needs is some graveyard effects or a themed monster reborn like Spyro Big Red that can be searched. But it would feel pointless anyway since you can only search monsters, so they need to have more monsters that trigger in hand or something like that. And that's basically it. A short introduction and explanation to the deck. In conclusion, the deck has a really strong swarming mechanic and is very good at picking away at your opponent's advantage and setting up soft locks with multiple negations and non-targeting. But to compensate for its inherent reliance on its normal summon, you will probably need to play some back row to protect yourself, or extra normal summons like Brilliant or the Symphonics, as I mentioned. But lots and lots of Skyfangs. You want lots of them in hand to trigger multiple effects in a turn, and you need to give yourself enough discard fodder for Lafarl and Wiz. Now we're just going to get into some replays of some duels I've played. They aren't good replays by any stretch of the imagination. They're not against very good players or very good decks, but it's hard to find that on FarfaYGO Pro Plus. It's just a really basic way to show you the deck in action, because sometimes seeing is better than listening to how a deck functions. So first duel here, going first, drawing with Desires, a typical scenario: beat, summon a boss monster, get a search, have like set some kind of back row. Unfortunately, we don't draw any of the back row or manage to excavate any with Lafarl, so we're kind of just relying on our one monster negate and our Ghost Ogre. But hey ho, he has Dark Hole, that's fine. He machine dupes. I'm getting really scared at this point, but it's FarfaYGO Pro, so he goes Decode, Talker, Pass. Now we have multiple options here. I decided to just use the second Desires anyway, because it's like there's legitimately nothing you care about desiring away in your deck. Like basically everything is like a 3 of. Banishing like Sanctum targets is obviously bad, but you know, I haven't drawn Sanctum, so I don't need to worry about that. He uses the Galaxy Soldier. Lafarl lets me discard to negate it, and then I bring back another Lafarl from graveyard with back to the front, and this triggers Dompa. And when a guy is special summoned to your side of the field, Dompa lets you pop face-up cards. So I pop the Galaxy Soldier, and that interrupts his rank 5 play, and he just scoops it up. So that's kind of like a typical scenario of like how you want a duel to go and how you want the deck to play out, is like by being able to use negations and then like setting up something like Call of the Haunted for disruption, or just using Wiz or Lafarl to stop your opponent from using spell traps or monster effects. This duel isn't yeah, it's like this is a typical like nightmare scenario for this deck, because like going second versus set 4, and you just have to play through all these back row, and this deck isn't very good at going through something that disrupts you on summon and something that disrupts your monster effects. But we have Scapegoat to save us. So Desires here, a second time. Oh, okay, I've drawn 3 Desires. I'm sure that's like a 0.8% chance or something. That's fantastic. So he Bukamoons the second summon. It kind of sucks that these guys don't get their effect on summon, but it's whatever. He demises, discarding the other demise, because he values time space over the second demise more, which is weird. Use the effect of Dompa, that gets striked. I back to the front at back, just because I really want to use the pop effect. Actually, Dompa's face-up cards, so that was probably wrong. And then he doesn't top deck a monster in time. So literally just winning because of Scapegoat there. So that should give you an idea of how hard it is to go second with this deck, and how much you do kind of rely on having to like draw some engine pieces alongside some back row. Yeah, Maxi on the rescue camp. Maxi! I don't understand what it is with people on FarfaYGO Pro feeling the need to play through Maxi, like it doesn't exist, but I guess I'll just start my turn with 8 cards. That's fine. There isn't really any way for this deck to OTK, just because the little guys are so small, and it's only the little guys that special summon big guys, so you're always going to be setting up for turn 2, turn 3 I suppose it is. Dompa lets me pop a guy, so I popped his X-Saber dude. He tried to use Needle Fiber. Lafarl discards a guy to negate it. I set back to the front. This is a really good scenario here. During his standby phase, I bring back Wiz. So now whenever he activates a spell or trap, I can also discard to negate it. I have a monster negate. Scapegoat, just in case he has some kind of way to play through my board, and I lose my board, that is. I could have negated the instant fusion, but I realized that there's probably no need, and like there's no reason to be scared of the instant fusion. It's not like he's going to be summoning Norden or anything. So I hold the Wiz, and it turned out he did actually have the Raigeki. So yeah, always make sure that you have to be very careful with your card effects in this deck, because like they are all hard once per turns, every single one of them. So you need to make very, very sound judgment calls and make sure that you don't like waste any of your effect or spell and trap negations. Again, a typical scenario versus strike, normal summon, it gets striked. You don't have any follow-up whatsoever with your engine other than to set pass. He twin twists my back row. It would have been more valuable to summon Scapegoat tokens instead of the Scythe. So that was misplay on my part. But yeah, again, like without playing through back row, you're not really relying on your engine anymore. You do have to kind of set up and hope you have like an artifact or a Mirror Force or some kind of way to protect yourself until the next turn, where you can push again with your next normal summon. In this duel, I could have summoned Lafarl, or I could have summoned Wiz, but I figured against the deck, like Dark Magician, it's very reliant on spell and traps more than monster effects, so I decided to bring her out instead of Lafarl. And that's kind of the type of judgment calls you have to make with this deck. And then onto my list, I'm pretty happy with it for the most part. Just a little disappointed that there aren't any good Skyfang spell and traps. The trap's okay, but I just feel like Back to the Front is just better, because I'd play the Skyfang trap if it was searchable, but unfortunately it's not, because Beat searches Skyfang monsters, and the field spell searches Skyfang monsters as well. So none of them search the trap, unfortunately. So I don't feel like there's any reason to play it over Back to the Front. 6 hand traps in total, artifact package, consistency cards, scapegoat. Yeah, the extra deck is completely free for you to do whatever you want with it. Let me know what you think about this deck, and yeah, if there's any ideas or something like that you think I've missed or that should be added, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Yeah, and if you also enjoyed this guide, comment down below, let me know that you enjoyed it, subscribe, share this with a friend who wants to play this deck, and yeah, I'll see you next time.